Hi, folks out there in television land. This is Talkin' Baseball with Pete Lincoln and Jason Smith.
Hello.
And this is a special show because it's season 7, episode 7, double seven.
7-7 today, yes.
Hoochie Coochie Man time.
Yes, that's right.
We're broadcasting here from the Passio School, and our telecaster and editor is Joe McLaughlin, who does a yeoman's job to keep us on track. And our producer is Debbie Lincoln, who keeps track of us generally all year round.
Yeah, she's raising 2 children over here when it comes to this stuff.
Yes, thank you.
Dan Cemetery, yes, also helping out with production.
Well, as we spread across New England, we need more assistance.
Right, yes. You know, we have to beat back the people who recognize us in local grocery stores and so forth. So, well, welcome. It's the middle of September. We're actually heading towards the end of the 2021 season. There are, I think, 14 games left in the year.
You know, one of the hardest things for us to do when we do just a monthly show is not to talk about what is currently going on.
Right.
Because by the time the month is up, the current is very much down the river.
Very stale.
It's all the way down to the Delta.
Yes, that's right.
So that we try not to do that. As we speak, there are 3 teams, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees, precisely tied for the 2 wild card spots.
Somebody's going to lose out. Somebody won't
but
make it.
We're not going to talk about it because by the time the show ends, you all know who won.
You'll know. It'll be determined by then.
Our next show will be toward the end of the playoffs, and that'll be another
and
we'll
either be cheering or lamenting, depending on how things go.
So we won't talk about that. What we will talk, though, first about is something we started doing last week, our last show, and that's Red Sox Memories.
Right. So we've been to a fair amount of games between the 2 of us, probably quadruple digits, I think, when you add them up.
But I think between us, we've been to I've been to 70, you've probably been to close to 40.
Close to 40 years.
So we've been over a century's worth of ball games.
Yes.
How we've wasted our lives.
And how we've spent money.
But the memory that I will never forget, it was such an enormous thing, was in 1975. 1975, the Red Sox won the pennant. This is back before they had lengthy playoffs. And they clinched the pennant with about a week to go. And the season ticket holders were able to pick up series tickets. But they announced that on a Saturday morning, at the end of the season, the rest of the tickets, mostly standing room, would go on sale. I'd never been to a World Series game, and I was going to go to this one.
Well, you were, 4 the last time they'd been to the World Series. So
I was.
Well, 46.
67.
Oh, 67.
67,
that's right.
But I had no money. I had 10 dimes in my pocket. But by 75, I could afford to go. And they said they were going to go on sale on the bleachers turnstile at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Ugh.
Now, the way they do it now is you can go in,
click a button, and you're all set to go.
Back then, so
you stood in a huge line that went all the way around the corner, if you remember those days.
I had a plan. I put on my trench coat, my Humphrey Bogart trench coat, and a fedora hat, and I took my camera. And when I got to the park about 8:45, there was a line stretched all the way down to Brookline Ave. And I pretended I was a photographer. So I walked along taking pictures in line, talking to people, until I got all the way up to the turnstile where they're selling tickets, took off my hat and zipped in. So when I got there, they said the only tickets left were for games 6 and 7, standing room for 6 and 7. So I bought 4 tickets for game 6. As I'm walking out, I'm thinking to myself, Cincinnati is maybe one of the strongest teams that have ever existed.
Right.
The Big Red Machine is who we're playing. What if there isn't a game 6? What if we get swept and I don't get a chance to go to a ball game? So I walked around and said, would anybody like to swap tickets for game 2? I'll give you 4 for game 6, but 2 for game 2. I found one fellow, and he said, okay. So I went home with 2 tickets for game 2, knowing that I was going to go to a ball game.
Yes. Little did you know, though.
So game 2 comes around, and it's kind of a rainy day, and my tickets were at section 33 right against the wall.
Right, left field, right.
And talk about difference. Bill Lee was pitching into the 9th inning with a 2-1 lead.
Right, that's right.
Johnny Bench hit a double, and they took him out and brought in Dick Drago, who immediately gave up a double to Ken Griffey Sr., and they lost the game 3-2.
Yep.
And then Game 6, I watched at home, which is arguably the greatest World Series game of all time.
The fist pull,
all
fist
time.
waving the homer, and Carbo's 3-run homer.
Instead of going out of my mind in Boston at 1:15, I was crying in my kitchen.
I think you mentioned that game was so exciting you actually watched it from the next room because you couldn't stand
in
to
the
be
extra
in there.
innings.
Yes.
I watched it from the kitchen with just one eye. That's right. Well, I could have been there with 3 friends.
So you're sort of like the Goodwill Hunting teacher. You're sort of like Robin Williams, right? You didn't do it for a girl, but you did it for Game 2. So.
That's right. I got to go to a World Series
But you got
game.
to go to one, which I've never been to, actually. I've been to playoff games. In fact, that brings me to my memory, actually. Mine is from 2008. Now, if you remember, they were fresh off the championship in 2007, and the Sox sort of limped into the playoffs in 2008. They had a ton of injuries, and the pitching staff was Lester and Beckett and not much else, and the lineup was just devastated with injuries. But they somehow got to the ALCS to face Tampa Bay. Now, this was the first time Tampa Bay had ever been to the playoffs.
Right.
So people are not regarding them very highly like they have over the last decade. Tampa Bay, what the heck is that? And so what happens is the Sox win the first game and they lose the next 3. Well, my wife and I have tickets to Game 5. And I don't know if you remember how Game 5 went. Game 5, Dice K comes out and instantly gives up 3 homers. So the Sox are losing 7-0 heading into the 7th inning, and we're all thinking, good God, they're going to lose 4 in a row to Tampa Bay. What is happening here? So the bottom of the 7th rolls around, and this, stop me if you've heard this before, Terry Francona was so desperate for pitching, he brought in Papelbon in the 7th inning to shut the Rays down, just hoping to stop the bleeding somehow. And in the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs, stop me if you've heard this, Pedroia knocks in a run to make it 7-1, and Poppy hits a homer into the bullpen to make it 7-4. Fenway is going nuts. Okay, we might not get swept, or at least we're going to make it close. It's 7-4 now. So Papelbon shuts him down in the 8th, and in the bottom of the 8th, J.D. Drew comes up. Remember J.D. Drew? Crushes a 2-run homer to make it 7-6. And Fenway is just going absolutely berserk.
J.D. Drew was the all-star, and won
he won the MVP of the All-Star game. Yes. That's a good trivia one sometime. Yeah, J.D. Drew won an All-Star MVP. And so in the bottom of the 8th, it's 7-6, and there's a runner on, and Coco Crisp comes up. Now, Fenway is going absolutely berserk because we may actually tie this game. Crisp puts on maybe the best at bat I've ever seen anyone have in the playoffs. It's a 10-pitch at bat, and he's just fouling off pitch after pitch. And every pitch, people are just getting in their seats closer and closer like this. Like, we were afraid to watch, actually. We're sort of going like this, seeing what was going to happen. On the 10th pitch, Crisp hits one into right field and ties the game. So it's 7-7, and because he had nobody else left, Terry Francona brings in rookie Justin Masterson. Remember him?
Sure.
And his wife Merrill used to bring the cookies to the announcers up in the booth and everything. Masterson immediately gets into trouble, and somebody on Tampa, I think it was Carlos Pena, hit into a double play, and Masterson gets out of it. I said, "Oh my God, how did that happen?" So they head into the bottom of the 9th, tied with 2 outs. Uke gets a hit and an error, so he gets to second base. And again, J.D. Drew knocks him in. They win 8-7. So they were down 7-0 in the 7th inning, came back and won 8-7 in the 9th inning. And we're all thinking, awesome. Tampa Bay, we got this. We'll just roll over. Come on, in 2008, who was it, the Phillies, I think? Come on, let's bring on the Phillies in the World Series. Come on. Of course, the Sox win Game 6, and I hate you, Matt Garza. Tampa Bay wins Game 7, and they lose in the ALCS. But that's my Fenway memory. One of the absolute most intense games I've ever been to, because they say playoff atmosphere. It was the playoffs. And I can't remember ever being at a game when they were down 7-0, especially that late, and came back and won. So that's my Fenway memory.
I remember times when they were up 7-0.
Oh, plenty of those. Oh, yeah, I've been to plenty of those. Yeah. We've seen many a 7-0 lead disappear. So that's my Fenway memory. You can look that one. People kind of forget that they were 1 game away from repeating as the AL champs in 2008. And Matt Garza took him out in Game 7.
So you folks listening at home, you think of some of your own Fenway memories over the years. It's amazing how many stick with you.
Oh, for sure.
It's such a vivid experience.
Yep. And you remember where you were sitting, and I didn't even, honestly, I didn't have to look most of that up. You just remember who was at bat and who was pitching and the circumstances. They just stick in your mind like that.
Griffey hitting Drago.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And I just remember when Drew got the hit where they won the game, nobody knew how to react. It was like, we're cheer, but like, do we hug? Do we like high five? Like, what do we do? This was a miracle. What the hell just happened? So yes, let us know your Fenway memories. I'm sure you have some great ones.
So what we thought we'd talk about to focus on in this show is the fact that the player's contract is coming up this winter, which means there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of arguments and discussions. Let's please hope there's not a player's strike,
please no.
which has happened on 3 different occasions, and the stoppage of play. But some certain things that have been put in partly by the desire to shorten games, partly by COVID problems, and partly by the change in the game generally.
Just
over
the evolution of the game.
So what Jake and I are going to do is sizzle and ebit on some of these things.
We are.
So I'll be the owners and you can be the players.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So just we don't have to spend a lot of time on these, but these are the things that will be coming.
These are the things that they're gonna negotiate this offseason.
All right. 7-inning doubleheaders. Thumbs up or down?
Oh, thumbs down on that one. I'm sorry.
Good.
Thumbs down on that. I hate it too.
They're not games.
No,
they're not games.
No, and I don't think the players are very keen on it either. I mean, think about it. I think the idea was just to shorten the game. But if you're a fan, you want more baseball. I'm sorry. And
the doubleheader is a separate admission.
Right.
Now, if there were 2 7-inning games and you pay to see 14 innings,
all right, maybe that's a different story.
But if you pay your money to see 7 innings, that's not a ball game.
You should pay 7/9 of the ticket price, but that's not how it goes.
That's right.
So, and a couple times I remember this year I lost track of what was going on because I think it was the White Sox. And Matt Barnes is warming up in the sixth inning. What the? Oh yeah, it's 7 innings.
And you know, it came up in the first place because of COVID.
It did,
because they're trying to fit 60 games into 2 months.
Right.
And if they missed a game or there was a lot of rainouts, how else could you do it without exhausting the squad?
But this is a full season we're talking about here. So
definitely thumbs down
on that.
Universal DH, National League and American League.
The biggest thumbs up you can possibly give for this.
Unbelievable. The thing is, in the old days, pitchers used to pitch 9 innings.
Right, exactly.
They had 4 or 5 at bats.
Right.
Babe Ruth, when he pitched, would have 130, 150 at bats.
Right.
Now, a pitcher tops pitches 5 innings
and gets maybe 2.
And so you really don't have a pitcher batting. You have a series of pinch hitters.
Of course you do. And you know what? Who wants to see that? I don't. If somebody's pitching well, I want to watch the pitcher. I don't want to watch a bunch of double switches and things like that. And I
still say that people want to watch stars.
Yes, they do.
So if Ted Williams had the ability to be a DH instead of he could have played 5 more years.
Oh, sure.
Poppy could have played more years.
Yeah. So say Max Scherzer's rolling along in a game and you remove him for a pinch hitter. Who really wants that? They want to watch Scherzer pitch. I mean, come on.
Ask Dennis Eckersley about it. He talks about all the time. His nightmare was batting.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though he had 3 dingers.
Right, he did. He had 3 dingers. Yeah, he did. Well, the ultimate one is John Lester. Didn't he go like 0 for 60 to start his career or some ridiculous amount like that? Nobody wants to watch a pitcher strike out or a pinch hitter.
I really get the feeling that that's going to go through.
I hope it does. I really, there are a lot of National League fans that are up in arms about it because of tradition. Well, guess what? The game changes. Okay,
the tradition was your pitch a complete game.
Right.
Tradition was you could bunt and sacrifice.
Right. Exactly.
What happened to that?
Right.
Tradition.
So big thumbs up on the DH. Let's hope it happens.
Okay, relief pitchers going to 3 batters.
I was thumbs down about this at first. I'm leaning towards a thumbs up.
I'll totally agree with you.
I wasn't sure it was going to work. But I think the flow of the game in the 7th and 8th inning, especially when people used to just mix and match, I think it actually, I actually think it adds some strategy because you're bringing in a lefty. All right, 2 of the next 3 guys are lefties. So what do you do with the middle guy? Rather than just substituting, especially the end of the year when you have 30 guys on the staff or whatever it used to be. I like it. I think it flows.
And I think
much
it's going to force pitchers to be better,
Oh, 100%.
not just specialists.
100%.
Tony Foss's people.
Yeah, who was it? Mark Ripchinski was the last guy that did
So they
that.
come in
yeah.
and pitch to 3 batters.
Yeah.
Or till the end of the inning.
Right.
I kind of like that.
I had my reservations at first, especially in Exhibit A on the team. We'll talk about him later, I'm sure. Josh Taylor's Exhibit A of that.
Right.
You know, if this was the old days, he would just face lefties. Well, guess what? The guy can get righties out too.
That's right.
You're right. It does make for better pitchers.
Okay, extra innings, runner on second base.
I'm a thumbs down on this. I'm a thumbs down. I don't know. I think you should just let the pitchers pitch and the hitters hit. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I've changed my mind on this. When I
Yeah?
first heard about this, I hated it.
Yeah, now you're leaning the other way.
What it does, though, it makes every extra inning exciting.
Yeah, it does. That's true.
It's exciting,
true.
every single extra inning. Now,
True.
something can happen because you just don't watch some guy come in and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
True.
A single can win a ball game at any time.
Yeah, but that can also be a downside if you're the other team. Oh, my guy came in and he gave up a bloop single and we lost.
Well,
You know?
got one yourself.
Right, true.
And the reason I'm for it is that starting pitchers only go 5 innings, and you're going to use 4 relief pitchers probably in the game anyway.
Mhm.
So if you continue to pitch into 15, 16
You're going to run out of
innings,
guys.
you're going to
right.
run out of guys,
That's
and it's
true.
going to be Pokey Reese pitching. You
Yeah.
know?
That's true. I mean, I was a huge thumbs down myself. I'm in the middle on it.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards down still, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. To be
I
honest
really
with
like
you.
it when we're up.
Oh yeah, it's great. Well, it's great when the Sox
When
are
they're
up.
up,
yeah,
I'm not
great.
so
And
favorable.
when they put the pinch runner in at second, oh, that's even better. Okay. Yeah, when the other team's up, not so much.
Okay, how about banning the shift?
Oh, thumbs down. I don't care about that. You know what? Learn to hit against the shift is my thing. Learn to hit against it.
Well, the problem with me on that is they don't learn.
Well, that's the thing.
The game has become just swing from your heels no matter
Mm-hmm.
what the count is. I don't remember seeing a sacrifice bunt in a key situation all season long.
And how many times has there been like one guy way on the side of the infield and you're thinking, just slap it to that side of the infield and get a hit? And they don't do that. They swing from the heels.
If Wade Boggs were 25 again,
Oh, my God.
he would hit 750.
Oh my God, of course he would. Yeah.
But they all just swing from the heels.
And I think at some point that is going to be corrected because there's always some team looking for an edge, like Tampa Bay kind of team that's always trying to think outside the box. I wonder if some team is going to load up on little slap hitters who just go against the shift and they can just get 6 singles in a row and beat.
Could be.
I really think some team is going to
Tampa
exploit
Bay
that.
is like that to a degree.
They sort of are. They
Yeah,
sort of
to a
are,
degree.
yeah.
It's just I think that the offense has dropped so badly. Right now, there are 6 players hitting over 300
Right.
in the majors.
In the major leagues, right?
The average major league average is 238.
And there used
That's
to
the average.
And there used to be what, 15, 20 guys who hit over 300?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And so I think the shift is fine as is. I think the problem is that hitters haven't adapted to learn how to hit against it.
Well,
That's the problem.
last time there was no offense, they lowered the mound.
They did well.
So they could very well do this.
Maybe they
because
will. Maybe
people
they
don't
will.
want to go to a game and watch.
They don't want to watch a 2-1 game.
Strikeout.
Well, that's what it is. 2-1 with 8 relievers coming in.
And this is the other interesting thing. They're thinking of increasing the size of the bases
Yes.
from 15 to 18 inches.
I don't think that's going to solve anything, to be honest with you. I know they're trying to increase offense, but I think they're a bigger fish to fry than increasing the size of the bases.
Probably.
I really do. Well, think about I don't know. Whoever came up with the 90 feet between bases is a genius.
Oh, yeah.
It is the absolute perfect distance from home plate to first where you can beat out a grounder or you can get thrown out.
Yep.
No, it can go 50-50 either way. And I think if you increase the base even a couple inches, it takes away from that ratio.
Yep.
That's
It's
my thought on that.
126 inches from third to first.
Right.
That makes it 120.
Right.
So
6 inches.
6 inches. How many guys are out by an inch?
Plenty.
But
Plenty.
what I hope it might do, though, is increase the steals. It's another half a
Absolutely.
foot. Because the
Absolutely.
stolen base also is
Oh,
vanished.
it vanished. Completely vanished.
Red Sox are 28th in steals
And
right
Christian
now.
Vasquez leads the team in steals with 7, I think he has.
So
So
those are all things that they're actually going to vote on,
Yep.
fight about,
they're
deal
going
with.
to negotiate those in the off season.
Here's a few others that I thought of that maybe they might try to do. Limit timeouts. They limit
yes.
timeouts in basketball,
in football.
in football.
Yeah.
Why not baseball?
I'm all on board with that. How many times has a guy been up to at bat and time, step out, whatever, and step
And not
out.
just mound visits, but timeouts to talk to the umpire.
Oh, God.
timeouts for
Oh yeah. Oh well, with mound visits, God, Kyle Snyder is the king of Tampa Bay. He's the king of delaying a game with mound visits. He's out there every inning.
And I'd like to see him pitch every 15 seconds.
Oh, I agree.
No reason why they can't.
Oh.
Devers he gets his 10,000 steps in every game.
Oh, he does. and my least favorite pitcher in the major leagues to watch on Tampa Bay, Yarbrough. Oh, pack a lunch when this guy pitches. Oh my God, just a garbage junk ball lefty, and he farts around and plays with his hat and plays with his glove and wanders
That's what I
around.
like
And
so
it's
much
like,
about-
throw the ball.
So that's what I like best about Chris Sale. Give me the damn
Oh,
ball.
Sale is like, give me the ball.
Just-
All right, here we go. All right, we're good.
I
Let's
don't
go.
have to squint in forever or do this
Yeah,
forever.
right.
Just pitch the ball.
Right.
That should be a rule. Just put a clock out.
Yeah,
If he
I
doesn't,
agree. Yep.
let's call it a ball.
Right, I agree.
I think also the batter should remain in the batter's box.
Yeah.
Why does he leave?
Right. Oh, well, unless you're thrown at or get hit or something like that,
Well,
then I
yeah,
can
but
understand
I mean,
it.
if you just,
yeah.
swing and miss, stay there.
Stay there. Yeah.
Don't walk around and hit yourself. Devers hits himself
He
in
hits
the
himself,
head.
he talks to himself. And
it's-
Vasquez is another one on that. He wanders around after every swing and does this and fixes his hat and his gloves and everything.
Nomar used to spend 20 minutes a game retaping his gloves.
Every swing.
He should
every
buy
swing.
better gloves.
Right. It's the 21st century. Get some better equipment, people. Come on, let's go.
I think, too, they should go to robo-umps.
Oh, 100%.
Home plate umpiring this year has been horrible.
100%.
And since now they have the little gimmick that they call the glass
Oh, the
pane,
glass. Yeah, it doesn't
you
break
can
the glass
see the
pane.
ball come
Oh.
in and it doesn't touch the
Oh,
glass.
there were a couple of the Sox game yesterday. Who I think it was Bogarts got called out on a pitch that was 2 feet outside. It was way out. It was in the next
Unbelievable.
batter's box.
Or they'll
and he got
make
called
up
out.
they'll say, we don't know which side he's calling tonight. He doesn't know which side he's calling tonight.
Yeah, right. It's a coin flip tonight. So yeah, get the robo-umps, get the glass in there, and it's not going to be 100%, but it's going to be better than what we have now.
Well, the
I
way
think.
the robo-umps work is the umpire wears a headpiece,
and if it hits
and it's
the-
a machine calls it
Yep,
ball a
so
strike.
so the light lights up, makes a buzz, and
It's
he
a
calls
strike.
it a strike.
And he has the right to overrule it
Right.
if a ball bounces through.
Of course, right. Yeah, or if it misreads or something like that.
But it'll take away all these.
Oh,
The calls this year have just been.
they're really brutal. They're absolutely brutal. And that's something else. Eck is. Listen to Eck sometime about that. Oh, I got to have that pitch. Where did that miss? He says that 5 or 6 times a game. Oh, where did that miss? Come on.
And some of the guys very calmly walk away and some go out of their mind. And the umpire comes out. I mean, the manager comes out. He has to get thrown out of the game.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, there was one the other day in the Yankees game where Baldelli, the Twins manager, got thrown out.
Yep.
And I remember it was Brett Gardner. He couldn't have made a better pitch to Gardner. Ball 4, and Baldelli came out and went berserk. And the entire Twins bench went berserk. And then the next pitch, Judge hit a homer and tied the game.
That's right.
And you could see the Twins just fuming. And if you can go back and look at it, it was right at the top of the strike zone. You couldn't have made a better pitch. Ball 4. Stop that. We don't need that anymore.
How about reducing the amount of time between innings? What's the problem with that?
Advertising.
That's right.
That's the problem. I would love to see that too, but guess what? The reason you're watching the game for free, well, not free, but the reason you're watching on Nesson or listening on the radio is because of advertising.
And the players are paid,
And the players
From
are paid
advertising.
from advertising. So
but it's too bad they couldn't, because you look at the time of play in games back before television. When Ruth played, it was rare to have a game go 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, they just walk out.
The last
and-
two
and
Red
drink-
Sox games have gone 4 hours.
Have gone 4, yeah. And at 10 o'clock at night, I might add. Thank you. Thanks for the 2 a.m. Ending time. Especially the playoff games when you get to Fox. Fox is the biggest culprit of this, because I think Fox uses baseball to promote itself. How many times have you been watching a playoff game and this TV show, and it goes on like a minute and a half about some horrid Fox show that's going to start and probably get canceled in 2 months anyway?
Or they promo an upcoming series next week.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Or next week, be sure to tune in the Mets and the Yankees.
Next week. Or if you watch a ton of games like us, we see the same ads over and over and over and over again. If I see Jan from Toyota one more time, I'm just going to change the channel. I'm sorry. I mean, nothing against you, Jan. We see you about 30 times a night, and I'm done with it. All right? Especially if it's a bad advertisement. It's like, oh, channel change. Okay, there we go.
How about not letting relief pitchers warm up on the mound? The rule has always been 8 pitches on the mound. Why can't they warm up in the damn bullpen?
That's a great question. I never thought of
They
that.
come in, it takes at least 2-3 minutes
that's a great
to come in and
question.
throw 8 more pitches.
That's
They've
a
just
great
thrown
question.
8 pitches
Yeah.
out there.
Maybe because it's a different mound, I guess is the thinking, but so what? Adjust, right?
Well, let's save some time.
Sure does. Yeah.
Especially with relief pitches, say, takes 2 or 3 minutes. In the course of the game, there's 10 relief pitches. That's half an hour.
Oh, absolutely.
Half an hour, see ya.
And would the bullpen cart speed things up there too?
They used to have it.
Put them in the cart.
I used to love the cards. And the last one we've talked about before, the mound visits.
Oh,
You know,
God.
the mound visits have been a non-issue this year.
No, they were, except for Snyder's the only one from Tampa Bay. He's out there all the time.
I mean, they used to have a big countdown. There was a.
Oh, yeah.
Is it still up on the wall? In
I don't
Finley?
even know if it's still
We
there.
used to notice only 3 left.
Yeah, and it would have the little clicker and oh yeah, mound visits. I don't think they made a big deal.
If
about that at
Sanchez
all.
was catching,
Oh,
he'd use up
God.
the mound visits by the second inning.
Oh God, yeah, and he learned that from Posada. Posada was the king of mound visits. Every pitch he'd wander out there. Well, what do you want to throw?
So-
and it's probably more likely like Bull Durham. You know, candlesticks make a nice gift. And all right, find out where she's registered. Let's go, guys. Half of the time when they go out there, they're just killing time for the next reliever.
Right. Well, all this is going to be coming up this winter, and it'll be pretty interesting. And there's going to be some big legal battles over some of this.
I agree.
I just hope the bottom line is there's no work stoppage.
I hope that's the way it is. I really do. I think the players right now are paid fairly.
Yeah.
I really think they do. They're overpaid. Well, guess what? They're the entertainment. They should be paid. But I think right now it's very fair what they get paid, and I hope they don't get greedy. That's my.
And you have to remember, there's only 700 of them in the world.
In the world.
I mean,
yes.
doctors should be paid more. There's 1 million doctors.
There's 1 million doctors. Yep.
There's 2.5 million too many lawyers. So,
right.
you know,
Right.
so they help people to make
supply
money.
and demand, people. We talked about it
mean,
before. Supply and demand.
Movie star makes 20 million in one movie. So
Right.
it's what people want. It's entertainment. It keeps them
Absolutely.
going.
Absolutely.
So we've come now to trivia time.
Okay, trivia time. Wow, we're late in the show for trivia today. Wow.
Well,
Very
we
late in the
just
show.
this was a key contract.
It was. Yeah, it was.
Contract
Yes.
for this. For those of you seeing our show for the first time, hope you're having a heck of a time.
Yes.
We had all 57 of our shows to date have had a trivia question. And at first we started out by making a general trivia question out to our audience, but with the dwindling number of responses, we decided to make this a Stump Jason. Jason is the Ken Jennings of baseball trivia.
Who is hosting Jeopardy now? It was
That's
just
right.
announced today. Yeah.
And today's going to be a special trivia
All
because
right.
what you do not know
Okay.
is that he's also the Ken Jennings of pop music. So today's trivia question is going to
Okay.
combine
Oh,
both of
jeez.
them.
Okay, the pressure's on right now with this. Okay.
You know the song Center Field
I do.
by John Fogerty?
I do.
In the third verse,
Okay.
what 3 Hall of Fame center fielders does he mention? Name 2 of them.
Okay. I think I got this one. I'm pretty sure I got it.
Okay?
I know that
What
song
3
very
Hall
well.
of Famers center fielders are mentioned in John Fogerty's song Center Field? That's our question.
Got it. All right.
So,
Speaking of center fielders.
that's right.
Here we go. So this is a segment that we introduced this year, and we're almost at the end of it. We're almost all the way through the field. And we are taking position by position someone who is not in the Hall of Fame, but we think should be there. Or you certainly could make an argument for this person being in the Hall of Fame. And we've gone position by position every show so far. And today we're up to center fielders, and there were actually quite a few choices for this one. I think we could have gone a lot of directions with
That's
this
right.
one.
I had more trouble with this one than any other position
Yeah,
because
this was a tough one.
when you have people like Bonds, you know, this I always try to go when I pick a guy who played the most in that particular position.
Right.
And the outfield is difficult because
Right.
outfielders sometimes play all the positions.
Right.
They play, 1,000 games here, 800 here, so and so.
And especially with center fielders, as they lose speed later in their career, they might shift to left or right.
So
it's very,
I will like to mention the three that I did not pick: Willie Davis, Kenny Lofton, and Bernie Williams. All three excellent
picks.
credentials,
Good picks.
all outstanding. But I'm going to go with the man who played the second most center field games, second only to Willie Mays, Steve Finley.
Outstanding pick.
Steve Finley played.
Outstanding
Steve
pick.
Finley played for all 5 National League West teams.
Right.
All 5.
All
of them.
5, right?
But he played twice. He played 162 games in the season. Imagine that. So he played a total of 2,314 games in center field. He had 2,500 hits, 304 home runs, and stole 320 bases.
Yes.
Postseason, he was 41 for 192, and he was the champ of Arizona the year that they beat the Yankees.
Yes, a little
one of my
yes.
favorite moments in the 70s.
Yes.
I follow baseball when Gonzalez hit a little blue
little
off
flare.
Rivera and the Yankees lost. I was happy for 2 weeks.
I was too.
And he was on that team.
Yeah, I remember him mostly the Diamondbacks and Astros, I think were the 2 teams he was with the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also played for Baltimore and Houston and
the Dodgers and the Rockies, I think, right? Yes.
And the
Rockies
and the Angels.
And the Angels. Yeah, he bounced around.
Bounced around a lot, but he certainly played a lot of games out there.
Right. And
he had 134 assists in the outfield.
Right.
Won 5 Gold Gloves. Was on 2 All-Star teams, and just generally was the kind of guy that didn't have any iconic moment.
Right.
But when you look back over his career and the amount he played and the number of teams he played for, he was just always there.
He was a 5-tool guy. He was a complete 5-tool guy.
Yep.
He was good at every single thing. Yep. In fact, I remember when you get into the homers and steals, my wife and I did a trivia night one time, and they asked, who are the players that got 300 homers and 300 steals? And I said, Steve Finley is absolutely one of them.
That's right.
We were the only ones that got Steve Finley right.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's an outstanding pick.
But he's not a household name.
No,
I think you asked a lot of people who's Steve Finley, never heard of him.
And especially in this part of the country, because as you said, he mostly played out west. So a lot of people didn't watch him play.
Around here, he only played after midnight.
Right. Well, crazies like us were still watching, but the average fans weren't.
There was 2 others.
So my pick, and I think another honorable mention should go to Carlos Beltran, who we've talked about before on the show.
Right.
But I went with someone else just because we've gone into Beltran in depth. And this might be a little controversial pick here. I went with Andrew Jones. Now, we've talked about on this show before the importance of defense. And Andrew Jones, by every shredder metric you want to run through the machine, eye test, whatever, he is probably the best center fielder of the last 50 years defensively. His defensive numbers are absurd. Now, he only hit 254 for his career, but he had 434 homers, so he had power. He was he would have fit in today's game. A lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts, a lot of homers.
Perfect.
He was about 20 years ahead of his time. That's actually the 5th most of any center fielder ever, 434 homers. He had 900 career walks, and he had 152 career steals, too. So at the beginning of his career, he still had the speed. He had 5 years where he got MVP votes. He had 1 second-place finish, 2005. If it wasn't for Barry Bonds, he would have won.
Well.
Any other year, he would have won. He's actually, a little tidbit, he's the youngest person ever to hit a postseason home run. He was 19 when he hit a postseason homer. And he homered in his first 2 postseason at-bats, too.
That's never been done.
Never been done.
First 2 postseason at-bats, hit home runs.
Yeah, his 2005 season, let me run through the 51 homers, 128 RBIs in 2005, and he loses the MVP. Imagine that. He was a good postseason. He had 274 in the postseason, and get this, in 04 and 05, 2 years in a row when the Braves made the playoffs, he was 18 for 36 with 3 homers and 10 ribbies. Talk about a one-man wrecking crew, single-handedly trying to keep the Braves afloat. So, as I said, it's tough to quantify defense in baseball, but one of the stats they use is DWAR, defensive wins above replacement. from 97-07, which is the peak 10 years of his career, he had a 24.5 defensive WAR.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that is 234 runs saved in his career. That's 50 more than Willie Mays had in his whole career. Think about that. And he was basically a 10-year player. The knock on him is that when he hit 30, he just, for some reason, he hit a wall at 30 and he was never the same. Yeah. And in those seasons, he had 57 overall WAR. A-Rod and Bonds were the only ones that were better than him in that 10-year stretch. This guy was one of the best players in baseball for 10 years running. And for some reason, I don't know if he wore out or he put on weight or something. He hit 30 and his career just was over at that point. He kind of drifted around.
He did put on weight.
Yeah, and was a fourth outfielder, and he was just never the same. But boy, for 10 years, he was the best guy, and he was unbelievable to watch in center field. Go look up on YouTube his career catching highlights. They're pretty amazing.
The end of his career was similar to Jim Rice's.
Yes.
Just all of a sudden.
Just out of nowhere, stopped hitting. Stopped it. But those years he was with the Braves, man, he was something to watch. So
there's two should be in the Hall of Fame center fielders, Steve Finley and Andrew Jones.
Andrew R-U-W, not E-W, remember. Right. Andrew with a U-W. And his son is named Drew D-R-U-W. I found that out.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's time for the trivia answer.
Okay.
Question is, you may have heard, in John Fogerty's song Center Field, in the third verse, he mentions 3 Hall of Fame center fielders. Who are they?
Well, he says, Say Hey Willie, so Willie Mays, and Joe DiMaggio, that's 2, and Ty Cobb is 3.
Good for you.
Come on.
Good for you.
Call me old-fashioned. I have an iPod. Yes, this song is on the iPod. I still use it. I bring the iPod to the gym. As you can tell by my svelte figure, I go to the gym a lot. But when I do go to the gym, I bring the iPod.
I thought he might forget Ty Cobb.
No.
Ty Cobb didn't play center all that much.
No, he really didn't, but it kind of fit the rhyme, so Fogerty went with it, yeah.
But at least we got a music trivia and a baseball trivia.
Pop culture sports trivia.
And if it weren't against the FCC rules, we play center field right now.
Right. Yeah, we'd have to pay a little fine for that one. Little royalty fee there. Oh.
Look at me. I can play
center field. Right. Thank you, John Fogerty, for writing one of the iconic songs.
Well, one of the things that I read an article recently about was that it's time to change the stats on baseball cards. Baseball cards are about 150 years old now. They started in cabinet cards, photographs, back in the 1880s. They were attached to cardboard, and then they started being published and included with tobacco.
Right, with cigarettes. Right.
But the card that we want to bring up here, this card of Johnny Pesky, is a 1952 Topps card.
Now look at that. That's great artwork right there. Look at
this is the definitive baseball set.
Oh, the 52 set.
The 52 Topps set. You couldn't buy it for $100,000 today because the Mickey Mantle card goes for $100,000.
Right.
At one time I had it, except for Mickey Mantle.
Right, of course.
But what was phenomenal, or not phenomenal, what was unique about this set was on the back of the card, they included the players' statistics. They had never done that before.
Right.
They make mention of some statistics, but if you can see this, it tells what they did in the past year and their lifetime. It lists at bats and runs and hits, and it also has their fielding percentage.
Right.
Putouts, assists, and errors and percentage.
Right.
Nobody. Right. Who knows when anybody's fielding these days?
And you even have a little biography in this one here, which is pretty cool.
They put statistics on cards, and this became a standard.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, this card is 1952, almost 70 years old. Now, this next card that's coming up, of E-Rod, is this year's card. Right. It's a 2021 Red Sox Topps baseball card. They're still putting them out. I don't know anyone besides myself to collect them, and it's hard to find where you can buy them, but that's a current card. And if you see the back of that card, they include every single year's stats.
Mm-hmm. Right, I remember that. I remember because I started collecting, 85, 86, somewhere along there, and I remember they were year by year. And the funny thing is, the printing was not like it is now. So the longer the career the player had, the more scrunched down the stats were.
right.
I remember I had a Toby Harricard who played from like 68 to 85.
hardly
And he
read
could
him.
hardly read it. Squinting. Oh my God, what was that?
And a rookie, they would have to make a lot of pros.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Shows a lot of promise,
Right.
likes to swim, you know,
Right,
that kind
right.
of thing.
Has 3 dogs.
So we've got, I found an article in the Boston Herald. It says, time to change the stats on cards, because the stats that they have now, to a degree, are meaningless.
A lot of them are.
Especially for pitchers.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Pitcher wins mean almost
mean
nothing
now.
nowadays.
Nothing.
Almost nothing.
top wins in the major leagues right now is 14.
Right. It's 14.
14.
Yeah. And the days used to have 5 or 6 20-game winners in a season. 14 is the most now.
1 year Baltimore had 4 20-game winners.
Right. Right.
Now they won't. That's just pitchers don't pitch long enough. So what's the point of wins?
Right.
No.
Right. Well, and there are a lot of, and the way pitching staffs are constructed now, there are a lot of guys that with traditional stats, it doesn't show them anything. Okay, somebody, I'm going to say again, Josh Taylor. He's not a closer. He's not a starter. So how do you quantify? You can't go by wins. You can't go by saves. So how do you quantify what he does?
It'll go games appeared,
Right.
ERA, strikeouts.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's all. That's
What
all
else
it
you
would
going to
have.
say?
Right.
No wins, no losses.
Right. So bringing statistics into the 21st century, there was a suggestion made that these stats should be on the back of cards permanently because they're much more relevant in terms of 21st century. And
Right.
the stat guru here, without your eyes glazing over, I'll just sort of run through what these mean. And one of them is plate appearances. Now, they always went by at-bats. Remember that? That was a big deal. AB was a big deal. And in fact, but the batting title was always determined by plate appearances. Now, what that does, it wasn't always that way.
No.
And guys like Ted Williams, Exhibit A, got penalized because they walked a lot. So they didn't have enough at-bats. So plate appearances, especially in the current days of walk, strikeout, and home run, plate appearances is far more informative of how much a guy was actually at bat rather than the traditional at bats because a walk doesn't count as an at bat.
Classic example, Barry Bonds, 234
Right.
walks 1 year.
Right. So, and that sort of ties into the next one, which is OPS. And they've actually started showing this on some of the broadcasts. OPS is on base percentage plus slugging percentage.
Right.
Now, on base, you know what? On base is hits and walks and hit by batters. That's your on base percentage. Slugging is a little more complex. Slugging takes what your hits are and values them that way. So, for instance, if you got a single, that would be a 1 slugging percentage. If you got a home run, it would be 4. It's the total number of bases that you hit.
Right.
So somebody like Ichiro, who was a pure singles hitter, would not have a slugging percentage as the same as, say, like Cody Bellinger, who hits 50 home runs a year. So what it does is it puts more emphasis on extra base hits and home runs.
Right.
It values power more. So you have your slugging and your on base because that takes into account walks, and you add those together, that's your OPS,
Right.
which is much more valuable than batting average. Batting average is sort of, well, some of it's luck, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it's luck, and it doesn't show how often guys get on base. Classic case is Bill Buckner. Bill Buckner, great batting average, hardly ever walked, which massively decreased his offensive numbers. Because, okay, you can get 200 hits a year, but if you walk 20 times, well, that's 220 times you're on base versus a guy who gets 150 hits, but he walks 100 times.
Right.
That's 250 times on base. So that OPS kind of levels the playing field there. So for pitchers, there are 2 that they suggested here too. And I'll do the easiest one first. Strikeouts per 9 innings. It's a ratio. So it used to be, okay, this guy struck out 200 batters in a season. Well, back then, everyone was throwing 200, 250 innings.
Right.
So it was pretty easy to see who was striking people out. Strikeout per 9 is basically, if you pitch 9 innings, this is how many guys you would strike out. So if you strike out 1 guy per inning, it's a 9 strikeout per 9. And it gets
And
high.
that stat has changed drastically because of all the relief
All the
pitchers
relief pitchers.
come in and pitch
Absolutely.
1 inning.
They pitch 1 inning and throw 100.
So they can throw 100, they're
Yep.
going to get a couple strikeouts.
Absolutely.
So overall, it looks like they have a lot more than they used to.
And what it is, it's preventing base runners is the idea behind it.
Right.
You leave nothing to chance.
Right.
If you strike a guy out, unless it's a wild pitch, he's out. It's not left to chance that a fielder might make an error or it's a bloop hit or something like
Right.
that. Actually, quick trivia. Do you know who the all-time strikeout per nine leader is? Craig Kimbrell. Kimbrell is the all-time strikeouts per nine.
He's also
leader.
the all-time heart attack pitcher.
Yeah, well, that too. That too. Yep, believe it or not, Kimbrell is the active leader in strikeouts per nine innings.
Wow.
And the other one, which I said ties into preventing base runners, is WHIP. It's walks and hits per innings pitched. Basically, it's how many base runners you allow. You take all the guys who walked, all the guys who got hits, and put it into 9 innings. So if you give up 1 hit and no walks per 9 innings, you have a 1 WHIP, which is really good because that's 1 base runner per inning. And again, I think Kimbrell is third all-time lowest in WHIP, heart attack guy. But so what WHIP is basically shows how much you prevent guys from getting on base. And that is really telling. Exhibit A this year, Erod. Erod has been the unluckiest pitcher in the majors, and his WHIP isn't even close to what it should be because he's had just horrible luck, with bloop hits and all this kind of stuff. Right. But WHIP is preventing base runners, and the lower you get, the better you are. And actually, the all-time, if you go over 1,000 innings, you know who the all-time WHIP is? Billy Wagner.
Oh.
Billy Wagner is first. Mo Rivera is second.
Right.
Mo Rivera, I think, is actually one right on the money for his entire career. So that's what WHIP is. So
for casual fans, this last 10 minutes, you can just fast forward.
Yeah, you can go right through this. I'm sure eyes are glazing over, but it's the 21st century. Right. And that's the kind of stuff that they use rather than traditional wins, losses, saves, hits, home runs, things like that.
We thought it'd be kind of fun to spend the end of the show today talking about Red Sox Report Card.
Yes, we are going to do one current thing today, and it's
Red Sox Report Card. Some things at this point with just 15 games left to go. They have the most doubles in the majors. They're third in hits behind Toronto and Houston, 8th in home runs, third in batting average, 28th in stolen bases,
yes,
and second in slugging.
Yes, and first in games where they've left a small town's worth of guys on base.
And pitching is fourth in strikeouts and
right.
third in saves.
Right.
So by statistics, you'd think they'd had a hell of a year.
And I'm gonna get it. I have one grade that's gonna show how that I got all messed up.
So we're going to go quickly down through player by player.
Yes.
And we never rehearse any
We have
of this
not.
stuff.
No, we have not talked about this at all.
I'll say a name. Give me a grade.
All right.
Hernandez.
Where do I have him here? Hernandez. I gave Hernandez a B-.
Exactly what I gave him.
All right.
Schwarber.
Schwarber, I gave an incomplete.
So did I.
There's just not enough there yet.
Okay. Devers.
Devers, I gave, let me flip over here to the offense. Devers, I gave a B to.
Wow, this is scary.
Yeah.
Yes, I gave him an A- until last month.
Right.
This last month, he's
just swinging from his heels.
Decided to chew tobacco and not hit anymore.
Right.
Bogarts.
Bogarts, I also gave a B.
I did too.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Martinez.
C+ for Martinez.
So did I. This is incredible.
If you've noticed, just a little J.D. Martinez, he's turned into what I call a bully hitter.
Yep.
If you notice J.D. Martinez, he absolutely destroys the Orioles and like 4th and 5th starters, mid-relief guys. Any decent pitcher or a closer, forget it, he looks clueless. Yep. He has very few big hits this year. A lot of it is just garbage time, knocking in runs.
I was such a fan of his, and now I just dread when he comes up, and they leave him in the third spot.
All the time, yep.
So his RBIs are high, but that's deceptive.
Because he has guys on base ahead of him all the time, right? Oh, I agree.
Okay, Verdugo.
Verdugo, I gave a B+.
Jason, we cheating?
Really?
This is uncanny.
This is amazing. Wow.
I love this kid.
Wow. I do too.
He's been hurt, but he plays the way he looks like he's having. He reminds me of Junior Griffey.
Yes, he's always hustling, he's always
enthusiastic
smiling,
and having a heck of a time.
And he's rocking the baby since he had the kid.
And anytime he makes a great play, he's excited about it.
Right.
He doesn't just be cool, Mr. Cool.
And he's always shooting the breeze with the guys on base and everything. Yeah, I think he's fantastic.
How about Vasquez?
Vasquez may be my biggest disappointment of the year. I gave him a C.
C+.
C+.
Only because he's caught more than any other catcher.
He has.
He's been overworked.
Absolutely, 100%.
But still,
100%.
He had 23 home runs 2 years ago.
Yep.
He's got 6 this year.
And
he looks to me like he's gained weight.
yeah, and I think he,
He's leading the steals though.
yeah, I think he's had some questionable pitch calling this year. I think he's had some boneheaded plays on the bases a couple times. I don't think the defense is quite there, although I won't get into that here. There's a reason I think behind that.
Hey, how about Dahlbeck?
Dahlbeck, I gave a B+ actually. 3 months he was terrible. If you could divide the grade, it would be like a C- through July 1st and then an A from July 1st to now.
Well, see, I'm a teacher, so for the first 2 semesters, you got an F.
Right.
And the second 2 semesters, you got a B.
Right, right, exactly. So
He's become one of their best hitters.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's finally learned to make contact.
Right, yeah. And you know what else he learned to do? He learned to wait on off-speed pitches.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? He used to just swing from his heels when he first came up. He's learned to time the off-speed pitch.
I never rooted for a kid more because he reminds me of Tony C.
He kind of
Same kind of physical build, same kind of appearance,
Right.
handsome kid,
Yeah.
great power.
Yeah.
He doesn't show off. But that first half of the season,
He was just brutal.
He was swinging a ball in the dugout.
Oh,
It's
right.
terrible.
So you kind of have to take Dahlbeck's as an
Half and
average
half.
there.
Okay. How about Pilecki?
Pilecki, I gave a B. He's a good, solid backup catcher.
Yeah.
Gives you a professional.
I gave him an incomplete.
Yeah.
It's just not enough data.
Yeah.
Same with Arroyo.
I gave him an incomplete too. Yes. Yeah.
How about Renfroe?
Renfroe, I gave an A- too. I think he's quietly one of the team's MVPs. He's clutch. He's had a fantastic year at the plate. Phenomenal arm. Yeah. He has a brain cramp in the field every once in a while, which I can live with that if he's hitting 30 homers. Yeah. But I don't know why people try to run on him still. His arm is amazing.
I only gave him a B because he has 12 errors.
Well, that's right. That is a lot.
That's a lot for a right fielder.
To be fair, the one the other day, that was on Devers. That wasn't on him. Devers just olayed a perfect throw.
And he has a lot of Ks.
He does strike out a lot. But he's
really cute though.
Well,
I think
he's a good-looking guy.
I think he's really good looking.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I think he's quietly one of the team's
If we can get him to come on the show, we'll try, Joe. Yeah, right. How about Shaw?
Incomplete. I mean, he's only been with the team a couple weeks.
But he's done well with them.
He's done very well. He was a good pickup.
When they first got him back, I said,
"Oh, not him again." Now he's back to where he used to be before they got rid of him.
Okay, so how about over the pitches now? How about Erod?
Erod, I gave a C+ to.
Exactly same thing.
He has games where he looks like $1 million, and he has games where he looks totally lost.
Yep.
And you never know which one you're going to get with Erod. And like I said, he's been unlucky, granted. He's had horrible luck this year with errors behind him and hits falling in that shouldn't
I don't think he's still at 400% health.
I agree.
No, he didn't play last year.
No, I 100% agree. Yeah.
How about Evaldi?
Evaldi, I gave an A- to.
Ooh.
He's an ace. I give him credit. I was one of his doubters, and he's turned into an ace this year. Yeah. I give him credit for that.
Well, it was a little harder. I gave him a B, but I guess that was too hard. He still doesn't seem to be able to go long in a game very often. 5
or 6 innings is all you're going to get out of him. Yeah.
How about Hauk?
Hauk incomplete. I just don't think there's enough there to go on.
They're sold on this kid.
Yeah.
But he's 0-4.
And he can't get through the 5th inning. So I don't know. We'll see.
How about Perez?
I gave a C- to Perez.
So did I.
He had a great May, and other than that, he's been terrible.
They turned it into a garbage reliever.
Yeah, he's garbage reliever, yeah.
Very nice mustache.
Yes. So did Palmeiro. So,
How about Richards?
Again, Richards, I kind of have to give the medium. I think he was a C at best as a starter. I think he's an A- as a reliever, so I gave him a B just to split the difference.
Yeah, I probably should have done that too.
You know, I think since he went to the bullpen, he's been terrific.
He's been better.
He's been much better in the bullpen.
Okay. How about Sale? Can you give him a grade?
He's what, 4 starts, 5 starts? Yeah, I don't think there's enough to go on.
How about Pivetta?
Pivetta, I gave a B- to. Pivetta sort of reminds me, again, you're either going to get 4 innings, 4 runs, or 7 shutout innings, and there's not much middle ground with Pivetta. You never quite know what you're going to get.
There's our difference. I gave him a C-.
Did you really?
He just makes me nervous when he comes out there. I don't like his name. How about Barnes?
Okay, again, if you were talking Barnes through the end of July, I would have given him an A.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
You know what? He got burned out. I think he between COVID and overuse, I have to give him a B overall because you can't discount those 4 months when he was just automatic. But man, he just hit a wall in August and he's still not back yet.
Huh.
You know?
Well, I did the same thing I did
Yeah.
with Dahlback.
Yeah.
First 2 semesters A-, second 2 C-.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have to split the difference with him. Yeah.
A couple of games he just came in and gave up those monstrous
Oh
home
my
runs,
God!
right?
Like instant loss.
Ottavino.
Ottavino, I gave a B plus. Steady 7th, 8th inning guy. He's been that his whole career.
I was too tough. I gave B-.
Did you really?
I'm going to go with you.
Yeah,
I'll change my grade.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's cheated.
He
off
also
me.
is very
Cheated
handsome.
off me.
Very handsome.
Yeah.
How about Whitlock?
Whitlock was my only straight A in the group. A Rule 5 guy comes and ends up being the anchor in the bullpen. How often have you seen that?
Yeah.
They were not expecting anything out of this guy, and he's turned into like a Ramiro Mendoza. He'll pitch 2 shutout innings here and there and close games. He was my only straight A in the whole group.
I made my grades out the day he gave up the game-winning home run.
Oh, the bad game that he had.
So I only gave him a B+.
But I think
You should never give a grade
yeah.
to anybody the day you have
But
a bad day,
Rule
right?
5 guy ends up being their bullpen anchor. I mean, God, who saw that? He's in contention for Rookie of the Year.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we got to wrap this up here.
Yeah.
We don't have much time.
How about Taylor?
Taylor? I gave an A-. I have no issue at all. Taylor's been fantastic all year.
I gave him a B.
Yep.
Just because he hasn't pitched that much.
Yeah.
A lot of games, but not a lot of innings.
Yeah,
You know,
right, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. And
You were very kind to pitchers.
I think
Their hitting has been better than their pitching, and you're giving better grades to pitchers.
Well,
than
and
hitting.
here's why. Because and there has to be, and I had 2 other things. I think Cora gets an A-/B+ for the year. I think he's been great. They've had 11 guys out at a time from COVID, and he's keeping him afloat in the pennant rate in the wild card. But here's my big thing, and I don't know if you had that. The defense gets a D.
Oh.
The defense has been horrible, and it ties into the pitching, which people forget.
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
The Sox have the 2nd lowest home run rate. They've given up the 2nd fewest homers, and they have the 2nd highest strikeout. So they're striking guys out. They're not giving up homers. Well, how come they're allowing all these runs? Oh, they're the worst in the American League at preventing batted balls. They're the worst at turning batted balls into outs.
Let's make a point for next show to see how many unearned runs they give up.
It's incredible. It's an absolutely, and it's not even just unearned runs. It's like a bloop hit that should have been caught. That's not an error. And guess what? When you're asking your pitchers to get 4 or 5 outs an inning, bad things are going to happen.
That's right.
You know, I mean, that's just, so that ties in that's why I was kind on the pitchers, is because I think the defense is more of a fault than the pitching.
Errors over omission.
Yeah, right, yes.
And
exactly.
Devers is still pulling his 20.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to deal with him playing another position.
I agree. I don't know.
Except now now they got
Schwarber.
They got Schwarber and
Martinez, who can't play the field anyway. So we have to wrap this up. We only have a couple minutes left. Sawamura, I gave a B. Yes,
I
he's
gave
been
B-
dependable,
B-,
and Hernandez a B- too.
Same
He's been
thing.
dependable. So
I'd say we pretty much agree.
I think
We must be watching the same team.
we must be. And you know what? I think anyone who has a complaint about this year, after the atrocity of 2020, when they went 20 and 40, and the fact that they're tied for a wild card with 14 games left, I don't know how anyone can complain about how the season's gone.
And I know I hate to make predictions, but I would not be surprised if they are not in the playoffs. I would not be surprised if they make it 2 rounds.
Exactly. Yep. You never know.
You never know.
It's who gets hot.
Yep.
Right now, the Blue Jays are super hot, but who knows in 2 weeks?
Right.
You never know what's going
The
to happen.
Yankees won 13 straight, then lost 10.
Then lost
12.
exactly. So, all right.
As Joe Garagiola said, baseball is a funny game.
It's a funny game.
It's a funny game. So we'll see you next time, folks.
Take care, folks. We'll
see you
after. We'll see you in the playoffs next time.
Keep watching baseball. The Patriots lost.
for watching another outstanding program provided to you by Lunenburg Public Access. We're here to serve the community. Lunenburg Public Access is always looking for volunteers to help record town events, high school sports, and town meetings. Please consider helping us out today.